You guys know exactly what time it is. Time for another project. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for the start of a new project series, the restoration of this 1993 Nissan NX2000, Project NX2K. And you're not alone if you've never seen one of these cars or maybe even heard about one. It's a pretty odd car, but let's dive into it. We'll cover a little bit of the history, but let me give you a tour around this fine machine and how much work we have ahead of us. Let's get in the garage, get a little dirty. And we have a new project in the Auto Obsessive Garage. Say hello to our new 93 Nissan NX2000. Just a brief history on this car. The NX was sold in the US from 1991 to 1993. It is the spiritual successor to the Pulsar. It's a pretty capable front-wheel drive car. It comes with four-wheel disc brakes, comes with a limited slip diff and an SR20 engine. But these are pretty limited, pretty rare. That's why you probably have never seen one in the wild. They are incredibly rare. But let me give you guys a tour of the car. But before I do that, let me clean it up just a little bit. Backstory on the car, I have had it for 4.5 years plus now. And it's really just been sitting, waiting for me to get time to restore it. So it was bought sight unseen from Indiana, and I'm in California, so that's kind of interesting. But let's go over this car together because I've never really fully inspected it. So it's time for this car to be done. Let me give you a tour. All right, a 15-minute detail. Let's do the exterior tour on our vehicle first. So here it is. As you can see, the paint is not super happy. We got a lot of fade, especially front clip area here. We're gonna have to, that's gonna need new paint. I don't think I can bring that back, guys. Body work down here is pretty rough too. You can see the fog lights are broken. Yeah, little body parts that kind of connect the top and bottom sections of that lower valance are kind of busted up too. So I'm gonna have to figure something out there. Probably gonna remove the fog light housing, weight reduction, right? But we got a lot of work to do. There's some not so pretty stuff we gotta address. Got the OEM 14-inch wheels, desperate need of being restored. Tires, Tiger Paw Uniroyals that are just ancient. I don't even know if I have a date code on these ones. I'd be willing to say at least 10, 15 years, maybe more, older. Those are coming off, we got a plan for that. Pretty straight down the body here, not too dinged up, nothing dramatic. Some little stuff here and there. Trim definitely needs a restoration. Up here, the paint is also destroyed. We have T-tops, which was actually an option, and though it is a weight penalty, kind of a strike against performance, I think it's worth it for the cool factor. Everything's looking pretty good here. Same up here, lots of sun damage. Not too happy about that. The rear spoiler is almost completely back to black. The trunk deck, we're gonna have to be painting all of this. There's no way you can bring this kind of quality back to life. It's just beyond gone. You can see it was a Mazda in Knoxville, so it lived in Tennessee at one point. Interesting, this car's been around. Good bumper collision stress marks there. We'll have to sand this bumper down and redo it. Coolest sticker ever, gotta make sure to keep that on there. NX2000, I think those are pretty hard to source now. But love this paint, also didn't even mention that. It's electric blue, I guess, which is a really amazing color. Working our way around the car, same deal on this side. Again, pretty straight down the side, some little door dings here and there. But nothing too bad. Again, needing to redo this upper portion for sure. And then we have a pretty sizable dent right here. Gonna get a PDR guy to take a look at that and maybe bang that out. But that's what we got, guys, with our budget NX2000. So overall, exterior is not horrible. I mean, I've definitely worked with a lot worse, but yeah, it's gonna need a lot. It's gonna need a lot to take it back, but overall, not a bad place to start. Let's check out this interior. Jumping into the interior of our NX2000. What really got me was how original it was in here. A lot of these cars were modified and trashed, and you can see the original seats are still here in pretty good shape. Bolsters down there, a little bit of wear on the fabric, no tears or anything. Back seats also in pretty dang good condition. Come up here, you've got your T-top covers. Everything looks pretty good in here for the most part. Steering wheel's a bit funky, kind of doing that dry rot thing these old vinyl rubber wheels love to do, but it is the original wheel. I've sourced the original radio too, so we can go ahead and swap that out for original stuff. Shifter, boot here is getting replaced, that's just gone, but everything's pretty original in here, and I kind of like that. Door cards are holding together well. Dash has one teeny crack right there, and that's it, so that's pretty good. These did like to crack, same as the Sentra SE-Rs, or the B13 Sentras in general. Door card on driver's side also equally good. Aftermarket cruise control, kind of interesting, and I'll show you that under the hood where that is. We're gonna take that out, of course, but overall, looking pretty good in here, guys. What do we have for mileage on this car? Oh, there we go, 183,000, so a pretty well-worn in example. Let's check out our hatch area here, because that's important on one of these cars. Oh, hood struts are gone, of course. So I'll just hold that up without it crushing my skull. And in the trunk, you will find the bags for storing the T-top lids. Those are pretty cool, and the straps are still there. You can see our back seat, kind of sun-faded, but still there. Overall, again, interior is pretty solid, all original. Can't really complain about that. We'll clean it up a bit, but no big plans for that. Definitely gotta take care of these hatch struts. This is pretty dangerous stuff when you have these things. We'll just do that. What's this thing got under the hood? Is it something spicy? It certainly is. That's a Nissan SR20. Gotta make the top 10 list, probably top 5 list of best Nissan engines ever made. The SR20 is a dual overhead cam, 2-liter, 4-cylinder, putting out about 140 horsepower. I think it's 130 something pound-feet of torque, so really good numbers for the time, for the early 90s. It's a stout power plant, loves to rev. It's a great engine. The rest of the world got a turbo DET version that put out a lot more power, and there's a variable valve version too that puts out a good amount more power, but I think I'm going to keep it with the SR20 DE in this application. But as you can see, the engine bay, pretty straightforward, stock, which is huge. Man, it's hard to find these things in this condition, so everything's looking pretty decent in here. Maintenance-wise, so these are timing chain-driven engines. The coolant needs to be done. All the fluids, really. We'll obviously do engine oil, we'll do brakes. But up here you can see what I was talking about. This whole thing on this custom-made bracket is the cruise control. And you can see the cable coming off of it and going around the whole engine bay here. I believe it's right here is the cruise control cable, this back one. So we'll be pulling all that out of the vehicle. No need to keep that in here, that's extra weight. I'm not gonna use cruise control in the vehicle, but it's kind of cool aftermarket cruise control solution. Someone probably paid top dollar for that back in the day, to tell you the truth, but we'll be doing the usual suspect stuff under here too, guys. Obviously valve cover gasket, spark plugs and wires, all that kind of good stuff, and making sure this thing's running tip top, because I plan to drive this thing spiritedly, and I think we're gonna do some modifications too. I don't think I'm gonna keep this thing stock, at least in handling to start off with. We're gonna do some handling mods, and we'll get into those sooner than later. But as far as power goes, I like the output of the SR20. It's a great motor. We'll do some basic maintenance and get this thing purring like it should. I put a light in position so we can see, but this is the first time I've been under this car in the past 4.5 years that I've owned it. So we're going together, guys, and this is where you really exploit the weaknesses of a car's overall health. So let's see what the underside looks like on our NX2000. Okay. Yeah, we've got some oil action on the trans side here. Oil pan also looking pretty slick. Good amount of oil coming down that too, so. Okay, well, first things we gotta address. Now that valve cover is absolutely pouring up top, so we're gonna start there. I'm gonna poke around, see if we got anything else going on here. That's a good amount of old crusty stuff on the trans there, so. Yeah, we're doing a deep cleaning under here. So that's right off the rip pretty good. Not a lot of corrosion under here for a vehicle that isn't just a California car. This was in Tennessee, was also in Indiana, so really interesting. I do see some suspension issues, so if we zoom over here, the axle boot looks good, but if you come down from that, you can see That is the ball joint on the lower control arm, and that ball joint is looking not too happy right there, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that, and instead of just pressing that out, that control arm does have a little bit of crust on it, and those other bushings are probably just as worn, so I think it's time to replace the control arm. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that just to be safe. So we'll replace the control arm over there. Driver's side, how we looking? Looks like it's split. Yeah, that ball joint is split, so let's do both control arms a little more. Since we're doing some suspension upgrades, we might as well make these look nice too. So we'll get new end links for the front sway bars. A lot of suspension work to do, a lot of oil leaks to fix. So we are doing both control arms, outer tie rods, and sway bar end leaks. We're gonna also take care of these oil leaks. Under here we'll do trans fluid, oil change. Surprise, surprise, these are old crusty shocks and springs, but I want this thing to handle. So I ordered up a set of coilovers to go on the car, and I'll show you guys what brand I went with and why I went with that brand. So that's gonna help us with the overall handling of the car. It's gonna lower it just a little bit, make it a little, you know, closer to the ground, lower center of gravity, a little more handling prowess, because these shocks are pretty blown over. Let's just pop this wheel off and see what we're looking at for brakes. I have a feeling I know what I'm gonna see, but let's explore it together. Yeah, those are agent looking at. What are we doing for pad? Oh yeah, pads are super low too. Yep, full brake job coming up, guys. So a lot of scoring on the rotor. Oh yeah, you can feel these lines. If you drag your fingernail through your glove, pad is extremely low, probably like 10%. It is like basically down to the metal backing. Actually surprised I didn't hear the screeching going on. Or that screecher right there, the metal part that tells you when your pad's is low is right there. New rotors, pads, and fluid coming up for our braking system on our NX. And that's gonna help things a lot. And one more thing, God, I thought that looked weird underneath. But check out the outer tie rod, guys, and you're wondering why I'm replacing them. That appears to be duct tape. Okay, yep, that is duct tape. Wrapped around a destroyed outer tie rod. Why do people do things like that? Anyway, it's not gonna help, guys. The whole purpose isn't to keep grease in there with duct tape. It's not doing its purpose, so that bushing is just completely destroyed. So, brand new outer tie rod's coming. Look, I'm not trying to sell short how crappy these tires are, but they're not all Uniroyal tire paws. So we've got a Uniroyal Tiger Paw right there. Move over to the other rear tire. This is a Super Sport made by Futura? Super Sport though, that's, God, how did Michelin get the rights to that? And we have a Kumo, okay, brand name, hello, in the house, probably from 1990 something. 732 Touring Plus, pretty sure, I don't even know if they carry that still. And our last one is a Murata, that's right, Murata Sport GT2. Ooh, those GT1s were junk, these GT2s though. Anyway, 4 separate tires, that's what I'm talking about. God, let's put some good rubber on this NX. Well, this shouldn't be too painless, should it? Time to break out our clipboard of financial doom and go over everything we need to do on our NX2000, which is a damn sweet car, I might add, but I'm excited. Mechanical. We gotta do the valve cover gasket, which is pouring oil all over the engine, spark plugs and wires, air filter, trans oil and coolant fluids, get all those fluids replaced. Brake job consisting of pads, rotors, and fluid. New tires, those 20-something-year-old mismatched tires just aren't gonna cut it on this one, guys. Full suspension too, we're doing coilovers, that's right. We're gonna do sway bar in the rear. In the front, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff up there to get that where it should be. Control arms, end links, outer tie rods, and we'll do a strut tower bar under the hood too to shore up that front end even more. Exterior of the car, also gonna be a high demand area, a lot of work. We're gonna do something with this paint, make it look decent. We gotta do something with the front bumper too, where it's cracked around the fog lights. Remove the fog light housing probably, touch up that bumper. We also need to paint the wheels. They're completely chipped and faded and not looking good. PDR to get rid of some of those, you know, dents and creases in the car. Paintless dent removal is the way to go on that. And windshield wipers, always gotta have good wipers. Interior, deep clean, so not too much on this one, just a really deep clean. We're gonna put take the cruise control out. I don't want that in there, it's an aftermarket unit. We're gonna put the OEM radio back in it just for that stock appearance. Go ahead and put the hatch struts in so I can get into the hatch of the vehicle without getting crushed each time. That's a lot of work to do on a small timeline. I do plan to have this car operational in less than a month because I have a driving event I want to take it to. So we got to get to work, guys. We got to get in here and turn some wrenches. But this is the NX2000, super rare, and it needs a lot of love, but I think we're going to give it to it. So that's what we do. We give these old cars love. But I'll see you guys next time in the Auto Obsessive Garage. Until then, take care.